Chakravarti Rajkumar, and welcome to Goodness Everywhere. In this world of negative and fake news, the positive aspects are neglected. The purpose of Goodness Everywhere is to find out the positive aspects and present it to you, the people. And one of the main ways we do that is through interviews, wherein we interview ordinary people who do extraordinary things. For our first interview, we have Himanshi Sharma. Himanshi is the founder of STEM for Girls, an organization that aims to inspire young girls by conducting weekly sessions with women in STEM. She's part of the Thousand Girls, Thousand Futures program by the New York Academy of Sciences. She loves to explore new topics and feels strongly about human rights. She is the founding member of Mundi PSC, and we are elated to have her with us. Himanshi, please give an introduction of yourself.
So firstly, I would just like to thank you, Om, for having me on this platform. And it's a great initiative, and I'm glad to be the first person that you're interviewing. Thank you so much. So I'm a 12th grader, and as you said, there are quite a lot of science things. So then, I'm obviously a science student. I study physics, chemistry, maths, and I'm very excited to be here. And I started STEM for Girls in the pandemic. And obviously the next question is why I started, but I just want to throw a little bit light on, how because of the pandemic and even this initiative that there is, it's about, spreading positivity or doing something productive in the pandemic, because all of us, we guys lack motivation, and everything's become so sad and depressed all of a sudden. So I'm glad that we're doing this.
Yeah. So Himanshi, how did STEM for Girls start, and what was the inspiration and ideation from?
Okay, so there are a bunch of stories, but I'll tell you the main three stories that, originated this entire idea. So firstly, what is STEM? It's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Okay. And my mom got me a book, and she got it like a few years ago, but because we're in the pandemic and there's a lot of time on our hands, I finally got the time to read it now. So I read about it, and the book is about 50 women in science, and it's a great book. Okay. I got immensely inspired by all these 50 women, but there were a few issues with it. I did not find a lot of colored women in it, and since there were only 50, I was also curious about, are there more? But obviously that's the author's prerogative as to how many people she wants to keep in the book. So then I went onto the web and I saw that there are only 28% women in workforces of STEM fields as compared to 72% men. And you see the difference, you see the disparity, it's so much.
Yeah, it's like a male dominant field.
Exactly, absolutely. So I was very surprised because right now I'm in the 12th grade, and there's almost an equal amount of girls and boys in my own class. So I don't see the disparity now. But then you see that the higher you go in STEM fields, the lesser the number of women become. So that is one of the inspirations. The second one is that I was scheduled to do an internship at ACTREC, okay, which is like Tata Cancer Research Center. It's in Kharghar in May. But because of the pandemic, it got cancelled. So I was looking for opportunities, and I was looking for, things or initiatives that I can do in the pandemic to hone my own interest in STEM and also involve the community. So, which is another reason why I started. And the last reason is that my own maternal grandmother, or, as we call her Nani in North India, she was a gynecologist, and she passed away when I was in the 7th grade. But she was a gynecologist in this very small place called Unnao. It's in Uttar Pradesh. And I understand the value of it now. Like when I was, younger, I used to just sit in her seat, and, people used to tell me I'm going to become a doctor and stuff like that. And that was really exciting, but it didn't really make sense to me. I was so young. But now I realize the importance of it, and I realize how much of a role she has played in bringing that interest or developing that interest, because I've seen her since I was a kid treating patients, talking to completely illiterate, uneducated people in that area, explaining to them why they have a problem, being so patient with the patients she had. So it was amazing. So yeah, these are the three main reasons behind why I started STEM for Girls.
That must have been really great for you. What does STEM for Girls hope to achieve, and have you received feedback that adds on to your hope?
Right. So STEM for Girls, our aim of the, the organization, as even the name suggests, STEM for Girls, is to encourage younger girls in STEM. because things like these, and I know you're going to talk about, we're going to talk about stereotypes and going to talk about why there are less women, but the problem is that it all starts from the foundation. Okay, like when they're in 7th grade, 8th grade, that's when this needs to be developed, which is why we want to attract young girls into STEM fields. Okay, that's our main aim, and like breaking the patriarchal society and all those norms. And as far as feedback is concerned, I'm very happy to tell you that in the middle we had registered for a competition, and just to make our submission like a very good submission, we guys asked a few of our regular attendees to put up a video. So we're getting great feedback in all of those. There are people that come for sessions, then we also have like a constant audience that doesn't change. So like there are around 40 people that come for every session, no matter which STEM field we're talking about. So there's a constant amount of people that come for these sessions, no matter which STEM field. So it's amazing that, people are welcoming us. And you see that there will always be a market for something like this, right? People will get STEM. There will be people that are growing up and they will want to pursue a career. They need guidance and help. So they can always attend sessions.
Yeah. So just to put it simply, STEM for girls, since you mentioned before that this is a male dominant field, that you want to change that, you want to encourage more women and girls to enter into this field, since not many women and girls are there in this field. So that's the main purpose of it, right? Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
So what are the different kind of challenges that women face in this field?
Right. So firstly, that's a great question, because, everyone just talks about, yes, let's encourage women. Yes, let's encourage women. But no one talks about what's the problem. Why are there less women? So thank you for asking this question. So I'll tell you, there are a bunch of reasons. The main one is gender stereotypes, in the sense how women are made to believe since their very births that, they are only going to make a family, or they're only supposed to do something which is not education related at all, like make a family, or get married, produce babies and stuff like that, which makes absolutely no sense, right? So there are these stereotypes, and because of these stereotypes, women end up not taking these careers. All right, along with that, another thing is, as we've already spoken about, male dominated, right? So because it's an extremely male dominated field, not a lot of women want to get into it, because they know they're going to be surrounded by women. In fact, we've spoken to a lot of people, right? We've had around 21 sessions. So most of the women have told us that in their fields, and like when they're at a high position, they're the only women in that conference room. So there's this constant need to prove yourself, that yes, I am a woman, yes, I am smart, yes, I know what I'm talking about. So that's another issue that women face, and which is why people don't want to get into a STEM career. Yeah. And another thing is that STEM, like as a field, requires time, right? So if you don't take up STEM, there's this flexibility. So I mean, obviously you can balance stuff, but people have this misconception that if you take up STEM, then you will not be able to do something else. And there are enough examples of successful women in careers who also have a family side by side and can do both the things. So those are the main reasons.
That's actually really great. I just want to say, it kind of really makes sense, since stereotypes, and you said no, it's a male dominant field, right? So correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel that women feel discouraged because there's not many men, and they feel quote unquote scared. But that can also be a good thing, since the ability to prove yourself can get you really far.
Exactly. So there's like two ways to it. So one is that, there's a lack of role models because there aren't enough women. And the other one is, take it as a challenge. You don't need to take it as a setback. You need to take it as a challenge. Like, fine, cool. Okay, I need to prove myself to these people. So be it. Let me tell them who I am. Let me tell them something about myself. And they'll automatically understand that I'm smart. And, like I've got here not because I'm a woman, but because I have actually done something in my life.
Yeah. So my next question is, do you think that girls don't pick up STEM due to parental pressure, or is there another reason to it, besides from the reasons that you mentioned before?
Right. So it's very subjective. You can't say that it is because or it isn't because. It's very subjective. Every girl that grows up in a different family, and all families react differently. Some families are extremely supportive. They're like, wow, you want to get into a STEM career? So, that's amazing. We will support you. We will fund you and all of that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then there will also be families that will say that, really, are you sure it's going to be such a long journey? Are you sure especially when women want to become doctors,
yeah,
because the study takes time, they're usually told that, what about, your biology clock, and when will you be able to make a family? When will you get married? So there are families that think like that, but there are also families that think like, that's great. I'm so proud of my daughter. So
yeah,
it's very subjective. It really depends on the situation that the person is in.
yeah. And I feel your organization's actually doing a really great thing in this part, because of your facts and interviews. I feel some parents and some families may get the confidence to give their daughters an opportunity to enter the field of STEM. So that's really great
Absolutely.
thing that you're doing.
Thank you so much.
So my next question is, what are some valuable lessons that you have learned through your STEM for Girls initiatives, like meeting people, interviewing people? What are the main things that you've learned from them?
Right, right. So there are a bunch of things. One main thing is, I mean, this is just a pro tip for anything that you're doing. Okay. It is that don't be afraid to reach out to people. So, I mean, if you guys look at the amount of people we've had, so I told you before also, we've done 21 episodes. So out of those 21, there are some that I could get very easily because, they're somehow either family members or their friends' parents or, something like that. But there were also some that were complete shot in the dark, in the sense, like our next session, it's on the 28th of November. It's with a Yale University professor. Now, I mean, I obviously don't know a Yale University professor, right?
Yeah,
She came because we emailed her. So please don't be afraid of reaching out. Okay. If you need help, or even if you need anyone, like we guys send emails every day. Like I have made it a point to send 5 emails every day to, famous accomplished people, because why not? Like, okay, fine, they might not reply, but if they do, then it's amazing if they do, right? So
yeah,
that's one thing that I've learned. Do not be afraid to reach out. Another thing is that you need to understand where people come from. So thankfully this hasn't happened with me, but some one of my mentors told me about this. It is that you need to understand where people come from. So for example, if right now you ask me a question that makes absolutely no sense to me,
yeah,
but and that has happened, why? Because you didn't do research on me. You get what I'm saying, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's why, please understand where people are coming from. Do a little bit of research before, when you're taking an interview, when you're doing, anything with a person, even when you're interacting. Even when we send emails, it's not just a template. It's a template that has a whole paragraph for work of their own. So you don't just send an email. You have to first read about them. You have to understand what they do, which field they're in, what are their research papers on, and stuff like that. And then you email them.
yeah,
And otherwise, obviously, from the women that have come, I've learned to not be, to not give up and to be perseverant. Because what happens is, some of them have faced, like, a lot of challenges, whereas some of them have not faced any challenges. As I told you, it's subjective.
yeah, yeah,
So there are also women that have not faced any challenges and had a very successful career, whereas there are also women that have faced multiple challenges and still had a successful career. So I've realized that you should never give up. You should always strive for excellence, and keep giving in, keep doing your best.
yeah. So
Absolutely,
according to
you're right.
you, what is key for youths to keep in mind while going through the pandemic in terms of education or motivation?
Okay, so first things first, it's a very sad time, right? The pandemic, and it has been going on since March. And like, especially we both live in Bombay, right? So there's been a lockdown on and off, on and off.
Yeah,
But most of our parents at least don't allow us to go out, even though there isn't a lockdown, because it's very unsafe.
yeah,
So you are basically stuck at home with your parents all the time, and your siblings and parents all the time. And the only way you can interact with your friends is through, a screen. Like, even we're
yeah,
doing this interview through a
yeah,
screen. So that, yes, I agree, it is really sad. But think of things you can do in the pandemic. Like, there are so many things that have shifted to virtual, right? So now you think of things that are easily accessible. Now,
yeah,
if there was a conference happening in Spain, okay, or a summer program happening in some very big university that you can't travel to, but now you can do it because it's all virtual. So think of the good things. Obviously, there are enough sad things about the pandemic. Think of the good things. Think of the ways that you can be busy, because otherwise, if you're not going to be distracted, or if you're not going to be busy and you have a lot of time on your hands, you're going to think about all these thoughts and, sad things, which is why it is better that you keep yourself distracted, you keep yourself busy. Like, you have started this initiative. I started STEM for Girls in the pandemic,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of people that have started a lot of things in the pandemic that are trying to help people, and they also get busy if they do these things.
Yeah.
So just try to remain busy, which doesn't mean that, focus on your studies and just study all the time. That is not what I mean. Yes, of course, don't neglect your studies.
Yeah.
Do give, at least 3 to 4
Yeah.
hours to studies, or, whatever. It depends on which grade you're in. So do that, but also try to take up activities that you can do. Like before, it was that if you have to work out, you have to go to a gym. But now we've just realized the importance, or, the amount of home workouts that there are on YouTube and other websites that you can just do at home. So, try to get fit, try to eat healthy, because you can focus on yourself. You can work on so many things. You can build, so many, you can build your resume. You can get so many activities. You can learn a new language. Yes, I know it sounds a little too ambitious, and I haven't done most of those things. But if you start somewhere, you will end up somewhere.
Yeah.
Like if I started STEM for Girls and this is what it has become in just like 7 months, then imagine if you start something and just give it time. So yeah, just try to keep yourself busy and try to keep yourself distracted from, all the sadness that's going around. Like people are dying and it's sad, but
Yeah.
just try to be busy. Yeah.
You're absolutely right, because keeping yourself distracted is a very good way to do stuff. I recommend doing MUNs because that's what I've been doing in lockdown. MUNs keep
Yeah, see,
you
that's such
very
a good
busy.
idea.
It keeps you very busy because 1 week before the MUN, you'll sit down, research. And the good thing about MUNs is not only you can have fun, but you can also learn something about countries. And you're absolutely right. I agree with you. Distracting yourself is the best thing to do in lockdown. So my next
Exactly.
question is, how do your friends or family support this initiative?
Okay, so I'll be very honest with you. At the very beginning, like in the first month of its
Yeah.
conception,
Yeah.
that I got a lot of support from my friends. They were, like Instagram is a huge medium of communication, especially in these times. And even we have STEM for Girls has an Instagram account and has around, 1900 followers.
Yeah.
So initially it was really hard building that up, because yes, your friends and family are supporting it, but to sustain an initiative, you need other kinds of people that are actually interested in it to watch it, or to support it, like people that are actually interested in STEM. So yes, I have some classmates, but people of my age usually know what they want to do. Even in STEM, if they are in PCM or PCB, any STEM area, they know what they want to do ahead. So if I'm a PCM student and I want to do engineering, I will not go for a biologist or anything else. I will only go for engineer sessions.
Yeah.
That's when we realize that we need to reach out to people that are younger. Like as I mentioned, even the aim of the organization is to reach out to younger girls. So, but it is of course because of the support of my family and friends that we started it. But towards the, like, right now, yeah, sure, they're supportive. They let me take interviews. That's great. But at the end of the day, you need an actual audience which has nothing to do with you, and that is also more rewarding. Like I'll tell you something that happened, just after our last episode. So I asked for feedback because we put a story for feedback after every session, and three random strangers that I never have met or known, they had attended the session. Okay. I mean, obviously, a lot of random people had attended the session, but these people texted me back to tell me how much they loved the session. So that is extremely rewarding. Like it makes your day. You feel so good that someone who has absolutely no idea about you would have found out by Instagram or, their friend has now come and then he's enjoyed it. So it's, I mean, she's enjoyed it. So it's amazing.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. That feeling must be really great for you. So
Yeah.
basically, my next question is, what kind of recognition have you achieved with STEM for Girls?
Right. So as I mentioned before, around 1900 followers, right, on Instagram. And it's really hard to sustain followers. The thing with Instagram is that, you can hit 1,000, but then you have to keep the 1,000 going. You can't go back to 900. So thankfully, we've had a consistent 1900 followers. Okay. And along with that, I told you before that we were registering ourselves for a competition and we wanted to make our submission, a good submission. So we had this video. So the competition was Harvard Munn's Act to Impact initiative, wherein they give, so basically it's a MUN, right? So, and the UN, it focuses on SDGs. And I'm sure you do MUN, so you know what SDGs are, the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there are 16 sustainable development goals, and we directly impact 6 of them. So you have to make a submission for it, and you have to tell them how you impact them, what exactly are you doing, and what all has happened. And thankfully we won it. We were awarded the first place in the Harvard Munn Active Impact Initiative, and we're very happy that that happened. We also given an entry for a film submission, which doesn't directly have to do anything with STEM, but it's about the idea. So we've asked one of our design team members to direct it, and the idea is STEM for girls. So let's see whenever their results come. But yeah, we keep enrolling for projects, and that is like the highest level of recognition. So it's a national level achievement. So we're very happy that we have that one, and we're also planning to register the organization soon, so that if anyone gets in touch with us, then it's a registered organization.
Yeah, I'm actually really happy. That must be great. HMUN's a huge thing. So you've conducted various interviews with important women leaders in the field of STEM. So what are the main things that you have learned from them?
So that's a great question. And we've had women from a lot of fields, okay, and from some very accomplished places. So I just want to talk about some of the main ones, okay. So we had Dr. Laura Helmuth, okay. She is the editor-in-chief of Scientific American. Scientific American is America's leading magazine in science. So that was a huge deal for us. In fact, I still remember when she replied to our email, like I couldn't believe it. I called the vice president of the organization. Her name's Ishita Bhatia, and she's a good friend of mine. And I was like, oh my God, can you believe it? She replied. And then she agreed to do the talk. So it was amazing when she came, and she's a scientific journalist. I mean, I had not heard of it until I had contacted her. I don't think you've heard of something like scientific journalism. And so it's for someone who is equally interested in all the fields. Like the person can't decide which one they want to get into. So that as a field is unique. And of course, the person representing is literally the editor-in-chief of the magazine. So she knows everything about everything that goes on in the magazine. So it was a really good session, and we had a lot of fun. That was, one of the highlights. Then we also had Dr. Vaishnavi Anantanarayanan. She is an assistant professor at IISc, which is the Indian Institute of Science, and it comes under the top 100 universities in the world. And we have this misconception in India that IITs, and although I'm not saying they're not great, but they still don't come under the top 100 universities. So she was from IISc, and she's done a bunch of stuff. She's done computer engineering, and then she's done biological sciences, and then she's done biophysics, and then she became a professor in IISc. So all those fields, it almost covers STEM. So again, people who are interested in anything can come and they can talk to her. And of course, she's extremely accomplished and she knows what she's talking about. So it was a great session as well. In fact, the first big session that we had, and this happened like a lot, I think in the first 5-6 weeks, was was your mom, okay. So it was amazing when we had her, okay. And that was the time when we hit 64 participants, and that's like, now we hit 100 very easily, but at that time hitting 64 was a big deal, okay. And she's a positive parenting specialist, I remember very clearly. And she spoke about psychology, and she spoke about a lot of things that were unique. Not a lot of people speak about such personal experiences. She told us that when she was working, and there used to be women coming in with burns very soon, like I don't remember the time frame, but she told us, I think within the first hour or so of her working, there used to be women coming in. So her work and her experience had really inspired us, and I think that is exactly from where we got that constant participation strength of 50 to 80. So your mom also helped us a lot get that, and plus her field is very unique. And in a place like India, mental health is not regarded very importantly as far as physical health is. So there were people that literally asked questions like, how do I explain to my friend's parents that he or she needs to go for therapy. So it was a really good episode, and I had enjoyed it a lot. So yeah, these were some of the main ones.
Yeah, that's absolutely great. So now that brings us to the end of the interview. Stay tuned for the next interview. Bye.
Bye.